So I said we were going to be thinking about what it means to let God direct the way that we live and the way that we are and the way that we behave. And see, the beginning of that story was Jesus was asked, what do I need to do to have eternal life? And at the end of the story, he said, go and be like this man who helped someone, even though that someone was someone that he supposedly shouldn't have liked at all. And see, the thing is, in order for love to be real and to mean something, it really has to look like something. Because Anto, is that you? Hiya. I haven't spoken to Anto properly since I got back from my holiday. So are you all right? How are you doing? Mm-hmm. We're really, really hungry. Mm. So as I was saying, in order for love to really mean something, it has to actually look like something. Anto, I just wanted to say that it is an absolute pleasure to serve on eldership with you. You are a fantastic elder, a great friend. I remember when we used to lead the youth group together, it was a real privilege and honor. And you're really someone who I admire. Natalie and I love you. You're a really good friend of ours. You're fantastic. So for love to mean something, it has to actually look like something. You can't just say that you love someone and then not be willing to help them, not be willing to do something for them. See, for love to really mean something, Jesus tells this whole story. And there were these two people, this priest and this Levite, who really should have loved this man. They were part of the same nation, they were part of the same race, and they really should have loved him. If you'd asked them, do you love people who are Jewish? They would have said, yes, of course we do. We love all Jewish people. But they're the ones who wandered on by. And yet this man, this Samaritan man, he was the one that really loved this guy, because he actually did something about it. He actually did something. He actually helped someone. And so when I say, what does it mean for God to direct our paths? What does it mean for him to show us the way to live? One of the things he's told us, one of the things he's shown us is we have to love people. We have to help people. But that doesn't just look like sitting in a corner saying, yep, I love that person. We've actually got to help them. And that's why, of course, I need to give my popcorn to Anto. Now, I said I had a costume change, and I'll explain that in a moment. But the clip we just watched is all about I know, I'm looking very good. The clip that we just watched is all about a bunch of people who are a little bit abnormal, but even the amount that they are abnormal isn't quite enough. So when they go through this audition process, the tall person, he has to make him even taller. The rather padded person, he has to make even bigger. Like, it's all about exaggerating who people are in order to be extreme, in order to make a fuss, in order to make a difference. And that might be a pretty extreme version of that in the film, but the truth is, we can all be guilty of that. We all do that. And that's the reason I chose to put on my suit. And this is my old school tie. This was my sixth form tie. And when I was at school, I wanted to be seen as clever. I wanted everyone to think I was clever. I wanted to do well in all my exams, but I didn't just want to do well. I wanted people to know that I'd done well. I'm a little bit less like that now, but thank you. But I wanted people to think I was clever. I also wanted to be popular, and so actually sometimes I pretended I was a little bit cleverer than I was, and I maybe put my hand up for answers that I didn't really know the answers to, because I wanted people to think that I knew the answers. The chances of being called out were quite low anyway. So I wanted to be seen a certain way, and so I acted and behaved a certain way. Obviously, I'm not at school anymore, and when I left school, I went to university. I've got my little bow tie, and this is what I had to wear every time I took an exam, and that's not going to fit on. So I've put on a bit of weight since then. So I went to university, and at university, I actually went to a college where most people were training to become vicars. So I went to a Bible college, and I was just doing an undergraduate degree in theology, but I wanted to be seen as very, very holy, and I wanted to be seen as someone who knew their Bible extremely well, and I was competing with people who knew their Bibles very, very, very well, but I would enter into the conversations, and I would have the debates, and I would use long words, and some of the long words I knew what they meant, and some of them I only half knew what they meant, but I wanted to be seen as someone who was theologically very, very, very astute, and so I behaved a certain way. I put on a little mask so that people saw me behaving a certain way and would think I was something that maybe I wasn't quite that person. Obviously, I'm not at university anymore, and so don't worry, we're not going to need the fig leaf. When I left university, I went and started working for a church. Originally, I was a youth worker, but then I came here, and now I'm a pastor, I'm a minister, and now I obviously preach and I pray and I do all the things that pastors do, and I want to be seen as someone who's got it all together. Because if I don't have it all together, then why would you listen to me when I speak to you? So I have to sometimes pretend I've got it all together. Now, I try not to do that too much, but there's a real temptation, I'm just being honest with you now, there's a real temptation for someone like me to pretend that my life is maybe a little bit more sorted than it is, so that you respect me and think that I'm someone that's worth listening to. So the question is, what happens when I take this off, and actually I don't have this at all? When I don't have my school tie on anymore, when I don't have my university robes on anymore, when I don't have my minister or pastor outfit and uniform anymore, who am I? Underneath all of it, who am I? And is that someone that I can actually be proud of? Now, the world will tell you, now, I've got jeans on under here, but I'm going to leave them off. Because that could just go horribly wrong. So I'm going to leave it as it is. I had plans. I'm going to bail out of them. Now, when I came up here before, I said that love has to look like something. But the thing is, God doesn't just want us to pretend. You might have heard a phrase, fake it till you make it. God doesn't want us to just pretend to be loving people. Now, we can come across as very loving. We can give to charity. We can help someone when we see them in need. But actually, in our heart, actually be thinking only about ourselves, thinking about the way that we look, thinking about what's best for us. We can come across as something, but God doesn't just want us to do things that are loving, although he does want that. He wants us to actually change from the inside out. We heard in the lyrics of that song that was just being sung, you're more than you could ever be. Now, you don't just become more than you can ever be by joining a circus. You become more than you can ever be by letting Jesus change your heart. There's a verse in the Bible that says, people look on the outside, but God looks on the heart. Love has to look like something, but that has to come from somewhere real. And so this morning, I don't want you to go away and try and pretend to be more loving. I want you to meet with Jesus. I want you to ask him to change your heart so that you can genuinely be on the inside all the things that he wants you to be on the outside.